Errol Barnett joins us now. Errol, why won't the president-elect directly blame Russia for interference now that he's had this briefing?
Well, there's a few reasons, Rena. I think initially it's simply the fact that he feels that doing so would essentially undermine his presidency. His inner circle is already quoted as saying President-elect Donald Trump is sensitive about losing the popular vote by millions of votes and winning the Electoral College. It would also be very un-Trump-like to acknowledge that he would have needed help in any sort of way to win the election. He has said his win is because of, his mantra, his ability to convince people that he would be a better leader than Secretary Clinton, to acknowledge the intelligence that he was just provided with, that Russia, didn't want Secretary Clinton to win, had an axe to grind, and then eventually realized Donald Trump would be someone they could work with, would undermine his presidency. So he's been reluctant to publicly or directly blame Russia in any way, shape or form. In fact, he takes an opposite view. If you look at these tweets he sent today, he sees positive comments from Vladimir Putin as an asset. And if you look at his selection for Secretary of State in ExxonMobil CEO Rex Tillerson, this is a man who is literally a friend of the Kremlin and has done deals with Russia before. Mr. Trump sees this as an asset for his presidency, and that's why you're seeing these tweets saying it's a good thing. And in fact, he looks ahead to working with Russia on a whole slew of issues.
Yeah, it seems like the Russian authorities are very happy about this pick for Secretary of State. I want to ask you to walk us through this intelligence report. What does it actually say about actual election tally tampering?
Well, this is what's interesting, because the only part of the intelligence briefing that Mr. Trump is echoing or is repeating is the part in which it says that there is no evidence that the Russians tampered with the actual election tally, the actual election vote. It does acknowledge that the Russian intelligence agencies were able to maintain access to elements of multiple state and local electoral boards that would give them access to kind of the metadata, the names of people, perhaps their addresses, perhaps where their ages, but it wouldn't, and there is no evidence that the actual vote tally itself was changed. And that's why Mr. Trump is repeating that point. The gist of all of this is that Russia didn't want Secretary Clinton as president, wanted to undermine her presidency when it seemed as if she would win, and as it became clear that Donald Trump had positive things to say about Moscow, they actually supported a Donald Trump presidency. It does not prove that they changed any vote tally. So Mr. Trump is making sure to make that point and say his presidency is legitimate, that people were free to make their own votes, and he looks ahead to working with Russia. But this last report by the intelligence agencies in the last few days of the Obama administration is quite damning and does put somewhat of an asterisk next to the Trump presidency.
Interesting to see how the intelligence community and President-elect Trump's relationship goes. Errol Barnett in Washington. Thanks for joining us, Errol.
Sure.